everyone, and welcome to case study number 4, where we are going to talk about the Mariana Dam disaster. I'm Isabella Clubb, and I have my partners Clara and Dalton that are also going to be reviewing this disaster. As an engineer, it is important to consider the finance, safety, and design of each project. When mass production occurs within an industry, it is vital to understand the impact that this can create problems not only within the individuals involved, but how surrounding environments and civilians could be affected as well. In Mariana Gerais, Brazil, the Broken Hill Propriety Company, also known as BHP Billiton, was in charge of a catastrophe that led to the loss of 19 lives and affected many more. To understand this event thoroughly, it is important to outline the process, timeline, results, and root cause of this accident.
Process description. Process description of iron ore enrichment that was used at the Mariana Dam site and popular with San Marco is called beneficiation. So first off, the iron ore is extracted from the soil and the mountain along with rocks and other minerals. They're then crushed and sorted through screens to separate dirt from ore. Then after running through the screens, the crushed rock are separated by a classifier that removes any additional sand that made it through the screens. The cleaned iron is then ran through a mill to crush it into smaller pieces and processed through a hydrocyclone to clean it one last time. After this, the ore is ran through a gravity filter and placed in a dry storage space to later be transported. Here we have a graphic of the beneficiation taken from San Marco's website. As you can see, it follows all the steps that I listed in the previous slide. So why use beneficiation? Well, beneficiation allows for the enrichment of iron ore, and in this example, according to San Marco, they took a 40% purity subject all the way up to a 67% purity. A more pure product not only produces more income, but it also can be used for different applications, such as the use of pigments and small chemical uses. But most iron ore mined, 98% of it goes to steel production. The tailings and waste from this process can be relatively easily stored and managed, although when tragedies do occur, they're widespread and cause tons of damage to the environment, just like this one. So what happens to the tailings and waste? Well, the tailings and waste are separated during the process into two major groups, the sand and the mud and clay mixture. These tailings are then transported to the dam site where they're specifically layered on top of one another to form the lake of waste that caused this incident. Our accident timeline. So the event occurred on November 5th, 2015. There had been reports of issues with the drainage system for the dam walls as they raised them. And despite projections of being able to hold tailings for double the amount of time that it was currently at, the Mariana Dam had already been pushed to near capacity. Due to the portions of sand and slime not being layered properly, the sand of the lowest part of the dam wall began liquefaction. This caused excess pressure on the sand and began to erode away the dirt at the bottom of the wall. This graphic shows how, once there's water above it, it kind of pushes down and causes erosion on that dam wall, causing the whole dam to collapse. And this is what happened in this example. So following the burst of the wall, it finally gave away and released about 6 million cubic meters of tailings into the river valley. Soon after the burst, the nearby villages such as Bento Rodriguez were affected by the tailings. This was only about 6 kilometers away. Waves of mud and clay would be reported reaching as tall as 10 meters, and whole villages would be wiped out as a result. But it didn't stop there. Once the slurry had reached the Doce River, it not only harmed human lives, but also the environment. The exposure to mud, clay, iron, and other substances within the tailings would make the water unusable and the fish from the river inedible. It got so bad the government had to issue an emergency order to stop intaking water from the river to prevent more harm. After 2 weeks of creeping across the Rio Doce, the tailings would begin to spill into the Atlantic Ocean and drift towards the coast. This would go on to not only move up and down the coast of Brazil, but also affect important conservation areas that were vital to the protection of local wildlife. Here we have an image of before and after. You can see how the tailings have affected the surrounding areas of the environment.
Ultimate results of the accident. The Mariana Dam burst and sent 6 million meters cubed of iron ore waste and mud to the nearby town of Bento Rodriguez, just 6 kilometers from the dam. The iron solution leveled approximately 600 of the houses nearby, killed 19 people, and caused one of the worst environmental disasters Brazil had ever seen. The dam burst did not only affect the city of Bento Rodriguez, it also caused a massive flow of the iron mud mixture to the Doce River and eventually the Atlantic Ocean, significantly affecting the wildlife and the people that live near the Doce River. The Doce River is a vital source of income for many of the towns along the river. The fishermen along the river are allowed to catch 3 kilograms of fish a day, but they still have concerns about eating the fish as they are filled with mud. The complete environmental assessment has not been finished yet, but it is estimated that it will take 10 to 50 years for the Doce River to recover, if ever. And then this is what the Doce River looks like right now, and as you can see, it is contaminated with the iron mud mixture. And then here's a picture of one of the fish caught by a fisherman from the Doce River. Samarco was fined $5 billion because of the damages to the city as well as the environment. In 2016, the CEO of Samarco and the board of directors from Vale and BHP Billiton were charged with qualified homicide, and the companies were all charged with environmental damages. In 2018, BHP had a class action lawsuit in the United States because of the dam burst, and they settled for $50 million with no admission of liability. Root cause of the accident. Although there is no official root cause for the accident, it is suspected that the reason for the dam burst was liquefaction as well as multiple structural problems. In 2013, the Instituto Pristino allowed Samarco to increase the height of the dam despite concerns about the structural integrity. 6 months prior to the dam burst, Samarco ran a worst-case scenario assessment for the dam and found that it could possibly burst due to a liquefaction break. The assessment also found that if it were to burst, it would kill around 20 people and cause significant damage to the wildlife, the cities around the dam, and the Doce River. Despite this warning, Samarco did not take any actions toward preventing this worst-case scenario, and unfortunately, it did happen. The dam began cracking and eventually burst.
Overall, engineers need to be aware of the implications their actions have on themselves and those around them. If engineers are not careful, the slightest mistake can lead to a large catastrophe. With the Mariana Dam disaster, this event could have easily been avoided if the right precautions were taken, and the 19 lives lost and those affected could have been saved. This is also why it is extremely important to evaluate past mistakes in order to prevent future disasters. The world of engineering has advanced tremendously, which comes with the evolution of the way society conducts safety precautions. The larger the production, the more implications the events hold. That is why companies like BHP Billiton need to be held accountable for their actions and misfortunes. As we have stated throughout this presentation, the Mariana Dam site used beneficiation for the enrichment of iron ore. Despite projections of being able to hold tailings for double its current age, the Mariana Dam had already been pushed near capacity. The wall gave way to pressure being built and spilled, releasing 6 million cubic meters of tailings into the Rio Doce River Valley. This company was fined $5 billion, and 21 people in total were charged with qualified homicide. As stated, 19 individuals died, and the exact cause of this is unknown. And here we have our final quiz questions. You can click on this link and you should have 3 questions about the presentation you just viewed. Even though this link may be posted here, it should be posted on Canvas somewhere else as well. Thank you.